Gavin Holmes steps out of a tackle across the 50. Gavin Holmes, the 6-year senior, into the end zone. 73 yards.
Welcome to the Big 1-2 on 365 Sports.
Worthy standing on. He's on 35. Blocked, swallowed, engulfed, picked up, and it's Robinson. Keelan Robinson catches on the board.
Now here's Paul Catalina.
Alongside Royden Ogletree here, Sikkim 365 Sports, 365 Sports, and of course, he's with KWTX. This is the Big 1-2. And thank you for joining us when you do. Sorry about a little slight delay. We are piloting a new software tonight just to let you go in and see if how it works. So hopefully, there we go. Look.
Hey, there we are.
There we are right there.
Hey.
On the little YouTube screen. So there we are. And thank you for watching whenever you do. Crazy week in the Big 12 this week, Royden.
You don't say.
Yeah, you were in Ames.
Yeah.
You went to Ames. You covered the game there. Was that your first trip to Ames?
That was my first trip to Iowa proper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has it changed you forever?
Yeah, I will never look at corn the same ever again.
What, just because it's everywhere? Or?
No, I mean, everybody likes to say how flat like the Midwest is and everything. It doesn't look really much different from like between here and Dallas. Like it looks like the same, except for all of a sudden there's like 10-foot tall corn just coming and you're just like, oh, okay, now I get it. But no, Ames was really treated us well, treated a lot of Baylor fans well. I know that the animosity between the fan bases is there online, but hey, they showed us a good time down there in Ames, and it's a nice little town, nice little college town, and we had a good time covering the game. All
right, let's jump into the recap this week. Here, I'll break it down for you. We're going to recap. Next segment, we're going to talk about Adrian Martinez a little bit.
Oh, good.
We need to, because he really
had the game of his life.
The game of his life. And Oklahoma fans can't be happy about that. Plus, the Kansas State fans that say we never talk about them. Now, they'll be satisfied.
Yeah.
And then third segment, we'll look ahead. Fourth segment, we'll make our picks. Okay. First off, last week started off with West Virginia getting a win they really needed, Royden. They really needed that one against Virginia Tech. They needed to beat a Power 5 opponent. They needed to win a game in a tough place to play. Neil Brown needed it. That was a nice win, even though Virginia Tech is in the first year under new coach and Brent Pry. That's a game they had to win. If they had lost that game to a Virginia Tech team that's struggling, then Neil Brown is probably joining Jeff Collins and Scott Frost and Herm Edwards right now.
The lukewarm seat would have gotten extremely hot, I think, for Neil Brown. And we've talked about we don't talk about another man's job, but no, he had been struggling, or not struggling, but he had been kind of keeping himself afloat and avoiding some of those rumors. And no matter how much that everybody talks about it, we don't quite know if that was actually the case, if he was on the hot seat or not. But it was getting kind of warm from any prognosticator that you would talk to. All I said was last week is that we just needed a good JT Daniels. We needed a decent JT Daniels, and I think that they would win this game. Virginia Tech didn't do themselves any favors. West Virginia looked good. Donaldson looked good running the ball. JT Daniels didn't turn the ball over, threw for about 200 yards. Virginia Tech had passes bounce off their face mask, and West Virginia got a win. So, Virginia Tech didn't look great, but it's always good to get a victory against the in-state rival. Now you're afloat. Now you can make that bowl game and continue to, I believe, like challenge for the middle of the Big 12, but we'll talk about it later, I feel like, but everyone in the Big 12 is now fighting for positioning at this point. And
who's the bad team?
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me who stinks in the Big 12? No one.
Yeah. And that's what we were talking about, Chris Williams and I, after this weekend, is that like what's going to come out in the wash is anybody's guess, because now someone has to. Is it possible for all 10 to make a bowl game? Maybe, but like something has to come out in the wash here where one of these teams is going to fall off, and I don't quite know who it is yet.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who it is going to be either. It's interesting that the league has worked its way out. Now, the national narrative is, oh, this is a bad league because Texas and OU have lost games, so they're not going to be elite. But that's not the case. This league has gotten better year by year.
Yeah.
I think in large part due to the fact that Texas is down and other people have had opportunities to capitalize on that a little bit. Plus, I think you're starting to see across college football, the transfer portal is a great equalizer.
Yeah.
Because you'll have a couple teams that can just run away from everybody. But for the most part now, if you don't play early on at one of those schools, you're going to go somewhere else and play. And while that doesn't mean that you're going to be CJ Stroud at the next school you go to, but now you're going to be good enough to win some games that, you were hoarding people away from before.
Right. And I think everybody wants to talk about like the top of these conferences, and yeah, rightfully the SEC kind of reigns dominant because they have the two world beaters at the top of their conference, but nobody likes to talk about the bottom of those conferences either. And the thing that I like about the Big 12, and that a few people have already said this week, in some shows, is that it's fun every single week. You don't know who is going to come out with what win at any given time, and it's worth watching every single game. The bottom of the SEC and the ACC, you can't really say that much.
Yeah.
And even the Big 10, really, and who knows about the Pac-12, but like the Big 12, anybody's ball game is like the cliche phrase, but it really is.
Yeah. Baylor beats Iowa State. First time this year, Baylor's looked like Baylor. I think it looked like they were supposed to run the wide zone. Didn't have a whole lot of rushing yards, and nobody is really going to on Iowa State most games. Got the passing game involved. Blake Shapen looked like the Blake Shapen we saw at the end of the year last year. The defense got after the quarterback, made him really uncomfortable, forced some turnovers. That's what Baylor planned on looking like. And yeah, it wound up being a one-score game, but really they controlled the lion's share of that contest. I do think it's interesting. Iowa State and Kansas this week. We'll get into that in the third segment, but a really good one for Baylor, and one they needed to keep their goals intact. If they lose that one on the road, then you got to go to Morgantown in a couple weeks. You got to go these other places. I think that might have been in their dome a little bit.
This was the canary in the coal mine for, I think, the rest of the Big 12, because there's a scenario where Iowa State, wins this game and continues on a good run. And now you got Kansas and some other teams coming up, and you have this momentum where you beat what is now kind of a rivalry between Baylor and Iowa State. I said the fan base treated us well when we got there. They do not like each other. Like these teams don't like each other. And it kind of feels like one team, like they've been jockeying for position in this new Big 12.
You know what I think the thing is?
What?
I think Baylor cut them in line.
Okay.
I think
they were next up.
They thought they were next up, especially when Baylor hit the skids after the Bryles controversy and everything.
And then hit the skids again.
And then hit the skids again. And then both times Baylor has now jumped ahead of Iowa State in line. And so I think that kind of irritates them, because they thought this was, their chance. And of course, they played in the Big 12 title game a couple years ago against Oklahoma and lost, and then brought back a bunch of people last year and didn't perform well. They're trying to fight their way out of history as well. But I think that's part of it, where it's nonsensical that Baylor cut them in line, but that feels like that's why there's that animosity.
They are a good team, especially this year. And I believe that Hunter Deckers is going to be better than what he was on Saturday. He was just missing some key throws in third and long situations, throws that he should have hit. Xavier Hutchinson is for real. He's incredible. And not for nothing, I know Iowa State fans don't want to hear this, and they got it was a terribly officiated game. I just have to say that right now for both sides. But on top of the ones that you think could have gone either way, those calls, they didn't help themselves. They shot themselves a lot in the foot with false starts in key positions, holding penalties, things of that nature.
Well, what Baylor also did early on in that game was when they got those two calls that went their way on the first drive, they capitalized.
Yeah.
Iowa State didn't do it until late.
Yeah, and I think that Baylor comes out in the second half of these games, and we even saw it in the Texas State game, with a more complicated game plan, better schemes, better looks for the defense, dialing up some blitzes. I think Baylor still has a little bit of problem getting home with just 4 at this point, but the Bryson Jackson was incredible off the edge, and This is the best game that I think Blake Shapen has played in a Baylor uniform.
Yeah.
He looked like he knew where he wanted to go with the football. He had time. He was patient. A couple of times I got in his face. He made some incredible plays, like the throw to Gavin Holmes on the run where he shouldn't have probably even thrown it, but he did, and he got it. And he was taking some chances, and that's what you want to see. And so I think this game, like I said, was the canary in the coal mine for the rest of the season for either one of these teams. Now it could go downhill from here. We'll see.
Yeah, well, look, they've got Oklahoma State at home this week. That's going to be a tough one. Other 11 o'clock games that were of note. TCU beats SMU.
We were wrong on this one.
We were wrong in this one. Max Duggan played a really good game. TCU kind of jumped out in this game. SMU kind of clawed their way back, but couldn't close in the fourth quarter and keep TCU out of the end zone. Game was close. I think Sonny Dykes really capitalized on knowing SMU so well this week.
And also, we talked about having the better quarterback will sometimes just win you football games. Tanner Mordecai didn't play as well as he had two interceptions in this game. Max Duggan had the cleaner game, and I was sorry, TCU fans. I was just wrong about this one. And but they got off. They were down 28-7 before they could even blink.
Yeah.
And then had to fight their way back the entire time. In this scenario, I don't see where Max Duggan loses this job going forward. Barring some epic meltdown, I think he's played well enough now that I think he has solidified his starting role in that job.
I think part of the reason he's just not in is you could not trust him until now emotionally. He's a guy who got a little too worked up. Under the previous coaching regime, if you get too worked up where that guy's like, man, this guy's worked up.
Yeah.
You got something you got to deal with. I think that now that maybe he's dealing with a person who's a little more even keeled, it's rubbed off on him. Teams take the personality of their coach, right? And good or bad. And right now I think that's a good thing. Sonny Dykes has got them pretty evened out. Kansas beats Duke. Probably got a little closer than Kansas wanted it to, but controlled the game the entire time. Jalen Daniels is fantastic.
Would have won player of the week in the Big 12 if Adrian Martinez wasn't on fire.
And all right, so we'll do that because we're going to talk about Kansas State and Oklahoma next. And Texas falls in Lubbock to Texas Tech. A huge win for Joey McGuire. Maybe the last time the Longhorns play in Lubbock for the foreseeable future. And
man, did they celebrate.
Yeah. Tech, you got to stop storming the field for every single thing. It's just
public reprimand and fine for Texas Tech going forward.
Once you've done it, you can only do it once per year. And I actually think the team that's more ice cold is not storming the field.
Wait, what?
It's more ice cold than not do it.
Oh, we've said that we've had this conversation, but it's the final game for Texas and Texas Tech.
I don't like they did it for Houston. Now they're doing it for Texas. It's too much of a thing now.
No, I
keep to your tortillas.
Really
calm yourself.
I know we're running long, but really what we said and the key in this game and what it ended up being, I mean, Donovan Smith threw 59 times. He had to play a clean game, and he did. Yeah. And that was all that it took.
Look, when Tech kicked a field goal in the first overtime, I thought, well, congratulations, guys. You fought real hard. But then Bijan Robinson, of all people, fumbled. I mean,
I know he fumbled. It was malpractice to only run him 16 times.
Yeah.
He had 16 carries for 101 yards. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Coaching malpractice to only run your Heisman candidate running back 16 times.
Yeah. So Texas already 2-2 and out of the rankings after losing and getting in the rankings before. We can
stop that.
We can pause the Texas is back train in week 4 already.
Right.
That's it. When we come back, we'll dive into Kansas State and Oklahoma and Adrian Martinez.
Question mark?
A career moment. This is the big one too. 365 Sports.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, locally owned pizza place that's out of this world. Everything from the dough, the sauce, the sausage topping is made fresh in-house. Not to mention the amazing pizza pillows, the chicken wings are to die for. Try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries or tots, plus great specials on food and drink every single day. Shorty's is also the perfect spot to watch the game with your friends. Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby. Tell them Paul sent you by.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Welcome back to the Big 1-2. Paul, Catalina, Royden, Ogletree. And we left one game off the recap because this is going to be kind of our whole second segment here. And we have to. Look, we were criticized, and I think wrongfully so, for not talking about Kansas State because I think that person hadn't watched when we got to Kansas State.
Yeah.
It seems that comment came in at like 18 minutes, and at 24, we were talking about Kansas State.
Same with y'all never talk about West Virginia, and then we picked them to win the game.
All right. All right. So, but Kansas State, huge win last week, coming off in a very embarrassing loss where they had no offense against Tulane. But Willie Fritz, big up to him, doing a great job at Tulane. And people don't talk about him enough. But Adrian Martinez found a way to channel his best self because Kansas State has two ways to beat you. They have Adrian Martinez running the ball and Deuce Vaughn being Deuce Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
And they did both those things against Oklahoma, who I didn't think even on their worst day could have the kind of down offensive performance that would lead Kansas State to have more points than them, but they can. And part of it was tons of penalties.
Mm-hmm.
I think I didn't turn this game on until the middle of it, but the first thing I saw was Oklahoma already had 8 penalties.
11 penalties for 87 yards to 6 penalties for 37 yards versus Kansas State.
And in key spots too. They weren't like the opening part of a drive, you get a false start. It was key spots, and Dylan Gabriel had his worst game.
Quote unquote. He still threw for 330 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, it is, but missed some spots. And then the biggest thing was the Oklahoma defense had no answer for Adrian Martinez running the ball. The 3rd and 16 was a fantastic play by him and just showed a lot of guts. He just showed a lot of guts the whole time. But Adrian Martinez was special on Saturday night.
Yeah, and I said going into the keys to this game were going to be to make Adrian Martinez throw the ball, and he wasn't necessarily very fit. 21 of 34 and a touchdown. It wasn't like he was necessarily efficient, but it didn't even matter because his legs were so good, which he has been known to do, and what you had to try and take away. But he was good enough throwing the football that you couldn't stop the read option on him.
Yeah.
And giving up 148 yards to a quarterback and then 116, Kansas State rushed for 275 yards in this game. And what you were saying last week was about this Briles-esque offense is that you just got to keep up. You just got to keep up. You just got to hold on. And they did. And eventually, like, I think jumping out to that 14-7 lead in the first quarter really helped them. Like, they always say you can't win a game in the first quarter, but the score, they literally match scores the rest of the game. So that first quarter, jumping out to that early lead really set the tone for the rest of the game. And they were just able to hold on for dear life against that offense. But even then, like you said, it wasn't quote unquote their best offensive performance.
Yeah. There's not too many flaws in the Briles-Levy offense. There are some things that they will never correct that will get you when the team you're playing is on. And it is
runs up the middle on 3rd and 10.
No, it is penalties.
Yeah.
Like they do not really worry about penalties. And don't worry about it to Brent Venables is going to have to get that under control, but don't worry about it to an extreme degree where sometimes you get a 15, you're like, we're going to get a 25-yard pass. Well, maybe not tonight. Now, the great equalizer in the Browns offense, because it has to go fast, is weather. So if it rains, like I remember when he was here, and the coach just rained in the forecast. Well, I hope not. Golly, that's going to really.
The TCU game is the prime example.
Terrified of it because they have to go fast, and when the field is sloppy, you just can't. You can't do it. And then the third one is that it is incapable of taking a beat to kind of wrap its arms around itself when things aren't going perfectly. And look,
there's no huddling up. There's no taking a minute.
So sometimes when you play a team that will just Michigan State did that to them. It'll get you. And I think that kind of showed itself a little bit on Saturday night, but the penalties was the biggest thing for Oklahoma. Was you can't commit 11 penalties when the team you're playing against has got it all going for them. And Kansas State certainly did that. And Kansas State was a team that before the year we talked about, like, maybe this is a team that could knock somebody off. And then they just looked so bland on offense for the first 3 games. And then they lose to Tulane.
Well, they just couldn't move the ball between, they just couldn't get those big chunk plays that you needed. And like I said, Adrian Martinez just could not throw the ball coming into this game. I think there was he had like 2 games where he threw for less than like 150 yards or something of that nature.
Yeah.
And so, and I think 1 passing touchdown coming into it wasn't really, and I know I'm probably off on those stats, but it's a little bit, it's like right there. Their offense was hand the ball off to Deuce Vaughn or read option with Adrian Martinez. And if teams were keying on that, you had to try and get Adrian Martinez to throw. Luckily, he just hit some of those throws. The wide receivers made some big plays, especially in the red zone on that touchdown catch. But I don't know. It's almost like it's unexplainable, but it really just came down to like sheer will for Adrian Martinez, especially on those big 3rd and 15. And that's just a terrible mental lapse by Oklahoma's defense, giving up those 3rd down and distance plays. But yeah, it almost just came down to he wanted it more. I know that's not good football analysis, but he really, when you run for that many and that hard and that many yards and score that often in the red zone as a quarterback, it feels like you just wanted the game more.
I think Adrian Martinez not wanted it more. He needed it. Like in the very bottom of his soul needed a game like this because of the way things went at Nebraska.
Yeah.
And this is, look, they won it. Like, he won a 1-score game.
That's what I wanted to talk about.
He won a 1-score game, which to what he went through at Nebraska being, and I think part of the reason I thought it was going to be a good fit for him at Kansas State was Chris Klieman was going to be like, look, we go as you go. But Nebraska was like, it's all on you, Adrian.
Yeah.
So then he had to take these chances and make these plays, and they weren't disciplined enough to where Chris Klieman is like, if you fumble the ball, he went all Denzel and Remember the Titans. I'll break my foot off in your John Brown hindquarters, and you will run them out.
And then you will run them out.
Yeah.
Perfection.
I think that's what Chris Klieman can do that Scott Frost clearly did not.
Yeah, and I was just doing a little research on Adrian Martinez before we got on the show, and you go and you read his Wikipedia page, and it was like he didn't have that many games like this, but he had a few at Nebraska where he was a freshman or a sophomore, and Adrian Martinez ran for 115 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Nebraska lost 35-28. And there's a couple of entries like that. And I just wanted to see if he had ever had a game like this. And I'm sure he was highly recruited coming out of high school, but I hadn't seen where he had a game like this in college football. So yeah, props to him, props to Kansas State for keeping hopes alive. And Oklahoma fans, look, I know that you, like, deservedly so, have sat atop the Big 12 for a long time. And when these losses happen, it's like the world is falling apart. There were people online that were like, we may have made a mistake with Venables. Like, calm down. It was just one of those games.
Well, guess who else lost to Kansas State at home? The last guy. Guess who else?
Yeah.
Lost to
They're
Kansas State at
6
home.
of 11
Yeah.
against Oklahoma over that many seasons.
Yeah. Guess who else? The other guy before that. So, look, Kansas State's kind of got their number right now. But the good news is in 2 years, you don't have to play them anymore. So,
yeah.
I'm not saying
It's just like some of these teams just have their team in the Big 12 that they just can't. It just is a weird house of horrors for them.
Everybody's got a team that drives them nuts.
Yeah.
Everybody for Clemson, it's Syracuse. So I mean, like even if they
It was almost Wake Forest, but yes,
they beat like Syracuse beat Clemson a couple years ago, but like before that, like 3 years in a row, it was just a game they couldn't handle.
Technically, for Alabama, it's A&M.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got one. So, it's just Kansas State is Oklahoma's right now. When we come back, we preview the week. This is the big one, too, on 365 Sports, brought to you by our good friends at Shorty's Pizza Shack.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com. Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, locally owned pizza place that's out of this world. Everything from the dough, the sauce, the sausage topping is made fresh in-house. Not to mention the amazing pizza pillows, the chicken wings are to die for. Try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries or tots, plus great specials on food and drink every single day. Shorty's is also the perfect spot to watch the game with your friends. Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby. Tell them Paul sent you by.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to the big one, too. 365 Sports.
Hi, Dad.
Let's see. Laura Weiss. Tech had multiple 10-plus play drives. It was hot here on Saturday, and their sideline was in the sun for most of the game. I think Tech just wore them down. That's in response to Paxson saying that a Texas football radio show said that Texas is out of shape, and that's why they can't finish games. Do you buy that? I don't know. I think that they're probably in a good spot there. I know that when every new coach comes in, like there's this whole thing about
we have our program, and we're going to run our program.
We're going to get stronger, we're going to get faster, and blah, blah, blah. I do think the reason that happens is it's most of the time when coaches get fired, the players are kind of over it. Mm-hmm. So maybe they don't, even though they're out there lifting. Are they lifting as hard?
With purpose?
Are they pushing themselves to the next level? Or are they like, okay, you told me I have to do 5 sets of 10. I'm done.
Got it. I think I highly doubt that they're out of shape, but like standing in the West Texas sun all day. Yeah, no thanks. Like
and Texas and Tech and that Kitley offense, it's just go.
Yeah.
So I think that was a little bit of it.
I think Texas Tech, all they had to do was just hang around. And I think Texas Tech, all gas, no brakes, they literally took their foot off of the gas.
Yeah.
I can't get over. You do not run your Doak Walker Heisman candidate 16 times in a game. Keep giving him the football.
Yeah.
And I know he's walking around campus today with a football in his arms, which, okay. But
that was in the fantastic movie, The Program, starring James Caan, Omar Epps, Craig Schaefer, Christy Swanson.
Keep going.
Let's see. I'm trying to think who else. Halle Berry.
Hey.
Halle Berry's in it. I don't know the actor who played Latimer, but he also was in Batman Returns. So
regular IMDb over here.
yeah, I think he got that job because he could do he played Christopher Walken's son in that movie.
Oh.
And he did a good walk-in.
Nice.
It was like, Dad, that's Batman. So
is that your walk-in?
That's my pass at walk-in right now with no warm-up.
Gotcha.
So give me a little bit of time to warm up some stuff. I can do several. But
You need a wristwatch?
no, I mean, no, I don't. To do walking, no, or just in general, no. I can get there. All right. So this week in the Big 12, the 11 a.m. kicks are Oklahoma and TCU and Texas Tech and Kansas State. The two teams we were just talking about,
right?
Both have 11 o'clock kicks. Oklahoma at TCU. I think Oklahoma bounces back, although I think this one could be a little bit of a shootout.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
I mean, that Dykes offense, it's no slouch too.
Yeah.
Kind of the same sort of offense.
Yeah,
but
they're all in the same
tree. But yeah,
genus.
I don't the way that SMU was able to claw back in this game, I'm not quite sure that TCU has the defenders to hang around long enough.
I also don't want to play this Oklahoma team the week after they lost.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah.
I think Dylan Gabriel, yes, they lost, but he was still really, really good in that game. I think he's going to be able to do much of the same, and I think Oklahoma does have enough good defenders to slow down TCU more so than the other way.
Yeah. Tech and Kansas State, this one's super interesting.
Yeah.
Super interesting. I Tech should probably be ranked. We had Tim Brando on the big show today, and Brando said that right now he said, in my opinion, between 4 and 40, there's not much delineation when you were trying to rank the teams right now.
That's a good point.
We're starting to see there is parity in college football. It's just not at the very tip top.
It's not where you want it to be.
No, it's not where you want it to be, but it's everywhere else.
Right.
And we're seeing that, which is why this game for me has been really tough to pick. I don't know, 2 weeks in a row playing offenses like this, can Kansas State hang? Mm-hmm. I don't know if they can. I know that Tech's defense is just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't think it's atrocious or bad or anything.
Let me say this. If Adrian Martinez plays the same way that he played against Oklahoma, then there's no chance. Yeah. But that may have been one shining moment for Adrian Martinez. Yeah. We don't know. But I think they get a little bit of juice coming back home for this game. More so, Texas Tech didn't play their best game on the road at NC State. Ruckus crowd. Should be a top 25 matchup. It's not. Now Kansas State is ranked. They have a little bit of momentum. Also could be a letdown. We see that a lot in college football. But I will get into predictions like we always say here in a little bit. But this was a coin toss for me, kind of picking this one.
Yeah.
And mostly because those boys out in Lubbock are playing for Joey McGuire.
Yeah, they really are. They really are.
Hard.
Okay. So I'm going to skip Oklahoma State and Baylor. We'll do that one at the end because that's the game of the week in the conference.
Okay.
By a long shot. West Virginia at Texas is the late game at 6:30. Look, West Virginia got their dub. I don't like them going into Austin and winning that game, especially off a loss where Bijan Robinson got 16 carries. Yeah, he's going to get more than 16 against West Virginia.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to run this guy into the ground like we said, and they have over the past couple of seasons, but you just have to give your best
situationally.
You just have to give your best player the football. And I think they're going to. Obviously, Roschon Johnson takes a little bit of that load off, and he carries the ball violently. He is a hard runner. But I think that West Virginia, I don't even know how to evaluate them because like last week, all I said is that JT Daniels had to have a good game and that they were going to probably be right there. I think Travis Roeder said with their new running back that they've started playing over I'm missing names here. Donaldson over who they were running is just the better fit, and he is the better runner right now. So I think that could give them
a tight end.
It was a tight. Oh yeah, it was a former.
It was a tight end. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think giving that would give them a little bit more juice. Everybody gets up to play Texas.
Yeah.
Just is what it is. Sorry, Texas fans. Yeah, it might be your Super Bowl, but it's people get up to play you, so you got to be ready. I still think that this Sarkisian offense is really, really good.
Well, and it's also not. I mean, look, Hudson Cardsman has played admirably in relief.
Yeah,
but we saw what Quinn Ewers and the difference he makes, and so until that happens, I don't think this offense is something to be feared like it will be when he's back.
Right.
And Xavier Worthy may not play. He's hurt. So that's
Hudson Card has been limping the entire time he's been playing. He's been gutting it out. I don't think it's a 9-point spread like they have it, 9.5-point spread like they have it right now. But I still think Texas the talent will play in deep here.
The most interesting game of the week, not the biggest game of the week, is Iowa State and Kansas.
Coin flip.
Kansas, yeah, it is. It really is. Because, look, Kansas can score. And if they have that one great quarter, this is going to be really hard for Iowa State.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they will get away with some of the stuff they've gotten away with against Iowa State, which means they're going to have to be creative. They also, even though they're 4-0, are not great at stopping people.
No, not really. I don't think Duke has any world beaters on offense, and they still giving
raised to the moment very well on defense, where this is a team that's showing to me a lot of maturity in that they know that, like, okay, yes, we gave up 3 scoring drives in that half, but as long as we stop the last one, we're all right.
Just got to stop one.
Well, I mean, look, and when you're building like this, that's the attitude you have to have, because you cannot think about like, oh, they scored 3 times, we could have stopped them on those. Don't worry about it. You can't go back in the DeLorean and stop them. You have to just worry about the now and stopping this one. So whether that's making it like, Kobe Bryant making that interception in overtime against West Virginia, or stopping Duke when they, got some momentum, good special teams plays, stuff like that. Just grab that one thing and hold on to it. They have not played a team that's as fundamentally sound as Iowa State. And that's why I think this one is really interesting.
Iowa State in that game against Baylor was flying to the ball, especially on the run game. And I know that Jalen Daniels has 11 touchdowns passing the ball, but that's where they make their money. Is they are really, really good in that zone run offense.
And they're going to let him, give him some room underneath.
Yeah,
but they're also not going to,
They're not going to miss the big tackle like Duke did on that 78-yard scamper, which was incredible, by the way. But I think that they make some of those plays that wear them down. Now we'll get into what we think about that game here in a little bit, and why I may be on the Jayhawks. That's called a deep tease again, folks.
But I think this is going to be a different one at home again for Kansas, though. And hopefully
I said
for them a second
on this show that it was going to be the most people they had at that stadium in 10 years. And what happened? It was a sellout immediately. I think it'll probably be that way again.
Do it again, Kansas. Best game of the week, Oklahoma State at Baylor. This was they split last year in Stillwater and Arlington. And that could very well happen again this year.
Yeah.
These are both really good teams. Oklahoma State's a little bit different than they were last year. They're attacking things a little bit differently. They also have not played anybody. Baylor has played 2 somebodies, which I think helps them a little bit. But ultimately, this comes down to, what Spencer Sanders is going to do. And if not for Baylor, the narrative on Spencer Sanders' career is maybe even more different, even though he's played really well up to this point. I think like 70% of his interceptions in his career are against Baylor.
Yeah, what did he have? Like 7 last year, and 5 of them were against Baylor. How did that work?
Yeah,
and then something like that.
And then if you go back to the game he started in Stillwater, that Baylor won a few years back in 2019 with the Rule team, he threw a couple in that game too. His career numbers against Baylor aren't great.
Yeah,
and so
they've schemed this offense. Aranda's defensive wizard, but they have somehow schemed and disguised enough to get him uncomfortable and just throw maddening picks too. Sometimes just like right to guys.
All of those picks that he threw are out the door because all those guys are gone.
Except for Matt Jones, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about Matt Jones. But most of those guys are gone. Jalen Petrie, 2 picks this week for the Texans.
Shout out.
He's gone.
It's the best thing about the Texans. Yeah.
He's gone. And, Terrell Bernard, gone.
JT Woods, yeah.
All those guys are gone. They just got their first 2 picks this week. So can they continue that trend against Spencer Sanders with mostly new guys back there doing it?
I think the Christian Morgan pick was a really big deal for this team.
Yeah.
I think he's been around long enough. So for him to make that pick, that first pick on Hunter Deckers was just kind of a complete accident. Yeah. It was a great play on the ball by those guys, but the Christian Morgan pick in the backfield where he was just camping back there and was able to come up with a big play. I think that one sticks out because he obviously is a single digit guy. He's a leader on that defense. So getting that confidence going forward is really good. What you got to watch out for this game for me is Sanders running the ball, which he's known to do when the throwing isn't working. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but he can beat you with his legs.
He's a very effective runner.
Yeah.
And look,
Deckers wasn't running in this game at all.
Well, I think that's also what befuddled them a little bit with Jaron Hall late in the game is that, even though he didn't have a ton of rushing yards, they had to be wary of it, especially down in the red zone, which is where Spencer Sanders will really get you.
Yeah, and I think that's what you got to watch out for. Obviously, Baylor gave up some big chunk plays to Iowa State, and it ended up, a couple of them ended up coming back to bite them, but they were able to limit the stuff between the 20s, and I think forcing them just to get one or two throws that he's uncomfortable and get them out on 3 and out will go a long way. But I do think that spying the quarterback is going to be a huge thing in this game.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we've got, let's see. Paul Gasto breaks. Wonder what happens when the car starts sputtering. Trajectory defining a loss right there from Jeff Ward.
Oh.
Thank you. Okay. When we come back, rapid fire picks. Boom, boom, boom.
Not the first time a car is broken down in Lubbock, right?
It was in Odessa.
Oh, sorry.
Odessa.
My bad.
Same, but different. 2 hours closer.
Okay.
2 hours closer. West Texas is vast. Very, very vast. When we come back, we make our picks. And thanks to the good folks at Shorty's Pizza Shack. You're coming to Waco. You live in Waco. You're coming out hanging for the game. If you're an Oklahoma State fan, Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby. I promise you will not be disappointed. Great pizza, fantastic wings. Love it, love it, love it. Great vibe there. And coming soon to Hewitt. But that does you no good if you're coming into town this weekend because they're still building it.
Yeah.
But still, a game changer in my life.
Go to Shorty's Pizza Shack so they can let me out of this closet that I live in.
Exactly. It's right there.
Yeah.
So, all right, when we come back, we make our picks. This is the big one, too, on 365 Sports.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, locally owned pizza place that's out of this world. Everything from the dough, the sauce, the sausage topping is made fresh in-house. Not to mention the amazing pizza pillows, the chicken wings are to die for. Try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, or tots, plus great specials on food and drink every single day. Shorty's is also the perfect spot to watch the game with your friends. Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby. Tell them Paul sent you by.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Welcome back into the big one, too, here on 365 Sports. Hey, like and subscribe. Also, if you're so inclined, please sign up for our premium site, 365 Sports, or go to kwtx.com and support Royden's company.
We won't charge you for our... No, I'm kidding.
Premium for a reason.
Right. No, I understand.
Yes. So our picks, let's go through them right here. Alrighty, let me pull the schedule up again. Oklahoma at TCU, Royden.
Oklahoma, TCU... sorry to TCU fan. Like, I know you had a really great week when we picked against you last week. I just don't see it happening. I go with Oklahoma.
Yeah, I'm going to go Oklahoma to bounce back and score a bunch of points. I think this game probably has a similar-ish score to what they had last week, but maybe Oklahoma flips it and maybe wins by a little more than 7.
Oklahoma at going off at 6.5. You'll take it?
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Yeah.
It'd be a tough bet, but after a week, bad taste in your mouth losing that game at home. So yeah, I will take Oklahoma too. I don't know if I take the points, but I'll take Oklahoma.
Yeah. Tech at Kansas State.
I believe that I picked Kansas State in this game. And look, I've been picking against Texas Tech. I know we said if you wanted to see our picks from the previous weeks, you have to go back and watch those shows. And I've been bitten in the butt several times picking against Tech right now. They kind of have some dark magic going on somehow in Lubbock, but I still think at home, after a really good performance from Adrian Martinez, I think they're able to carry over that momentum. The big thing is the home away split right there. I
also picked Kansas State because of the home field advantage, so I'll take Kansas State in that one. Let's see, where am I? Iowa State at Kansas. This is a pick where we differ. You said you weren't going to pick against them again.
I'm not picking against them until they prove me wrong. Sorry. Go Kansas, go Jayhawks. Like, I wish I could have been more succinct about that. But look, I'm done being wrong here. I'm done being wrong. So go Kansas. I think but in all reality, why I'm picking them is I think Jalen Daniels is right now he's going off at like plus 3,000 to win the Heisman.
Yeah.
Right now. So that's up there. That's up there with quarterbacks. Like, that's in the Bryce Young range even. Like, maybe that's wrong. Or that's in the Bijan Robinson range, actually. So I'm not saying that's going to happen. But if he continues this play, sometimes teams just get hot. And I think that Iowa State probably like schemes up better for them than Duke actually does. Yes, probably. But until I'm proven wrong, I'm going against Kansas, and I'm not picking against them until they lose.
Okay. All right.
You don't believe that for 1 second, do you?
No, I think you'll pick against them when they play somebody better.
Yeah, probably.
I'm picking Iowa State.
Kansas all the way, national championship.
I'm picking Iowa State in this game. I think Iowa State's too fundamentally sound. I don't think Kansas has played anybody like this. I think it'll be a great game. I think Iowa State scores a bunch of points. I don't think Kansas can really stop people. I think this is, unfortunately, where the first loss happens.
Right. All I'll say is that, look, do I think that Kansas is going to somehow I think it probably will come crashing down here a little bit harder than Kansas fans are ready for here over the next few weeks. But if they somehow continue this momentum, is it Jalen Daniels Big 12 Player of the Year? We saw this with RG3. Now, I'm not saying Jalen Daniels is RG3 or the type of quarterback that he was in college, but they win 10 games. Where are we? Where are we putting that?
Yeah, he's a program changer, for sure. Okay, West Virginia at Texas.
I got Texas. Texas going off at 9 points right now. 9.5 actually. If I was a betting man, and don't listen to me for gambling advice, but like if I was a betting man, I would pick Texas, but I would pick West Virginia to cover. I think this may be closer than a lot of people are saying. Texas coming off a tough loss to Texas Tech. They may be fired up with all the on the field, rushing the field stuff that's being talked about right now. I do think players actually see that stuff on Twitter more so than you realize. But I would still pick West Virginia to get moving against Texas. Like I said, it's whether you like it or not, or you like this term or not, if you're a fan base, it's every team's Super Bowl to go and try and beat Texas at home in Austin. It's just a little bit more just oomph to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take Texas in this game. I think that I may even take them at 9.5. I don't know. I don't feel great about West Virginia week to week. matchup to matchup.
They're not a team that I would place money on every single. It could vary very differently. Every single week.
All right, and the game of the week: Oklahoma State at Baylor from right here in Waco. Another one that we differ on. I'm taking Baylor in this one. I like what I saw last week. I think this will be a really close game. I think Baylor's going to play a ton of really close games, but I do think Baylor wins because they're at home. I think they do really well. I think we saw the physical nature get back out of them. Be nice to see Khalil Keith and Tay McWilliams back for this one. Probably not going to happen. Hopefully they have at least Grant Miller back, but I don't know about that one either. So if they play like they did last week and are Baylor again, I like Baylor in this one. I think that one woke them up a little bit. I like Baylor in this one very close.
It could be that, and I was just to full transparency, I feel like I was kind of hedging a little bit with the Iowa State pick. I picked Iowa State last week, and at points at the end of that third quarter, you could hear a pin drop in that stadium. That's how far away it kind of got from Iowa State. Now, like we said, it ended up being a one-score game, but Baylor was comfortable in that game for a lot of the second half. And that's just a coaching thing and a scheme thing that they were able to like disrupt them so much. Will they be able to do that in this game against, quite frankly, better talent? I'm not sure. And again, I know that Blake Shapen threw three touchdowns, had probably his best game as a Baylor Bear. Wide receivers are still having a tough time getting open. It's like Monterey Baldwin was back. He was a non-factor in this game. Maybe you had to scheme for him a little bit down the field, but he was just an absolute kind of like non-factor in this game.
Here's the matchup I like though for Baylor. Ben Sims, Drake Dabney over the middle. No Malcolm Rodriguez, no Devin Harper. Both those guys are in the NFL. Oklahoma State hasn't replaced them yet. I like that matchup to keep the Baylor offense moving.
Look, and I know that Oklahoma State fans don't want to hear that. You have it's not as good of a defense as it was last year. It's just not. Now they've held some teams to some low scoring numbers so far this year. Also hadn't been a great strength of schedule for them, but will Baylor be able to exploit that? Will they run schemes for that? I was saying during the break that they do need to run more of those two tight end sets with those guys. They're probably your best pass catchers at this point. I think Gavin Holmes being able to get open is a welcome change of pace for Baylor. I still think that Spencer Sanders is probably going to give them fits, even though historically he hasn't. I think it may be kind of a redemption game for him.
Well, before Blake Shapen got blown up in that game last year,
True,
he had not missed a pass. So, I like this matchup for both teams. I like it for both teams all the way around. I think this is going to be one of the best games in college football all weekend.
Also had Tyquan Thornton and RJ Sneed.
Yeah, then there's some equalizers going on here, but also had Jalen Warren. And
we can go round and round on that.
There's a lot of guys gone. All right, that's going to do it for us. This is the big one too. Please like and subscribe, and please go to Shorty's Pizza Shack. Those two things will make me really happy. And
then I can go home.
Exactly. And then Royden can go home. Thanks so much for watching. Whenever you do, I'm Paul Catalina. He's Rogan Ogletree. Thanks to Jack McKenzie and Jacob Wilson. We're back again next week, everybody.